welcome to Sierra Make. So you already know from the title and the intro that I'm making a super cute and super simple upcycled top. So a while ago, somebody gave me a box of scraps and in it was this fitted sheet, I think it's a cut-off piece from a fitted sheet, or maybe a bed skirt, but I saw this and I knew I had to make a top out of it. Honestly, I think this is going to be a super easy, super simple top design. I don't know. We'll see when I actually finish it. So let's jump in. So to start off, I'm just going to make a simple tube top. So here I have a white sheet that had stains on it and I've been cutting up as scrap fabric. And I'm just going to cut out a rectangle that is the width of how high I want this top to go. So how much area I want to cover from the top of my chest down to, below my bust. And then the length of it will be the widest part of my bust. So go ahead and wrap a tape measure around your chest and find the widest point and maybe add an extra inch or two to that. And, maybe some seam allowance. It's fine if this is not form-fitting. You don't want it to be because you want to be able to pull it over your shoulders and stuff. Especially if you're working with a non-stretchy fabric. So now I'm just going to sew two ends of that rectangle together to make a tube. There's the stitch I did a zigzag and a straight stitch just to hold it in place, and now we're going to hem the bottom of it. So when I do this hem, I'm going to leave enough space so that I can string a piece of elastic through this. Also, reminder to hide that raw edge, and let's just sew that real fast. There is our hem, and I left a little gap in the stitch so that I can string my elastic through it. So I'm just going to grab this piece of elastic, which I cut to be a little bit shorter than the width of my underbust. And I'm just going to grab a safety pin and connect that to one end, and we will do the little safety pin trick and slide that through our hem space. So here I've just tied the two ends of the elastic together. That way I can always go back and make it shorter or longer, maybe by a little bit if I wanted to. And I'm just going to tuck that in and close that hole. Now moving on to the bed skirt flowy portion of this top. So obviously my shoulders are not as wide as this length that I have. So I'm just going to measure the width of my shoulders. And I'm going to cut a piece of this skirt to that size and, sew it together, just like you see I'm doing here. So now that I have the under tube top portion and the upper skirt part done and in tube form, I'm going to attach the two. So first I have to figure out where I want the shoulders to be and where I want it to attach. So to do that, I put a little pin in the top and then I measured the distance between one armpit to the other. And I'm not talking about the inside of the armpit, I'm talking about like the front side of the armpit so that it just is on the front part of your chest. Then I just copied that distance onto the back of the top and I made sure that that armpit gap on either side was equal to each other. So just for reference, my armpit gaps ended up being about 5 inches each, and the front and back pieces that I would be attaching to the skirt ended up being 15 inches long on the tube top portion. I also wrapped the bed skirt portion around my shoulders. I just put it on and I marked with safety pins that same distance except on the sheet because this is elastic and so it's actually going to be a smaller, shorter distance than it would be once it's stretched out. Doing it this way also lets me account for the upper portion of my arm because basically my arm is going to go through the top of the bed skirt in between a gap between the bed skirt and that under tube top portion. Because that's going to be like my mock sleeve. If that didn't make sense, that's okay. It doesn't really need to. Just follow along with what I'm doing. So now that I've marked where I want the tube top and the skirt piece to attach is, you can see here I'm stretching out the top because it is elastic and it's going to be stretched around my torso. Now I need to sew it down. So I ended up using a zigzag stitch to sew it in place because that's more of a stretchy stitch. And I also stretched the elastic while I sewed it. Here's a little visual of what I mean by that. So I had tacked down where the first 2 points are, and now I'm stretching the elastic so that my second 2 points, or the end of that front length, lines up, and then I'm just going to hold those pieces together and carefully sew the elastic to the tube top. Here's a bit of a closer look at what I'm doing. You can see I'm also hiding that raw edge on the inside and doing that zigzag stitch. And now that that's sewn together, I'm just going to try it on, make sure that it fits, and then I'm going to hem the armpit piece down, and I'm basically done. Pretty easy, right? It's basically 2 pieces of ruffled fabric sewn together.
Honestly, I kind of like the raw edge, but if I wanted to, I could put a little bit of lace or some type of trim, or maybe even just hem the edge. I probably will like stick some lace on it if it starts to fray, which it probably, well, it definitely will. But I just like how the raw edge looks right now.
Time to show you the final look.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I look like some sort of, you know, cottagecore goddess. Okay, maybe not cottagecore, maybe like peasant.
When I tell you that I could not stop swishing around in this top. Honestly, this top was just as fun to wear as it was easy to make. I mean, hello, if you have some bed sheets lying around that you don't need, some fitted sheets, and you want to cut them up and make a top, please do it, because it is so much fun to wear. And check this out.
The thing I like about it, arm raise, it stays there. Arm raise, it's still there. What?
That's right. Even if I raise my arm, the strap stays in place. It doesn't slide up, which is magical for this type of top. The only thing is I probably could have made the bottom of this top tighter, which is super easy to fix, so if it bothers me that much, I can go back and fix it. Here's what it looks like on the back, and yeah, honestly, I was feeling myself in this top.
Oh, I look like a goddess.
Anyways, that's the end of this video, so be sure to hit that like button, comment down below if you like this top, if you thought it was easy to make, and if you want a top like it. Share this video with your friends who have some extra bed sheets and can sew, and please subscribe because I post every Friday at 3. Thank you for watching.
I can't cross my eyes, can you? I have boobs! Oh, I know my neighbors can hear me. This is so weird.